I'm here at the Hub Culture Pavilion in Davos with one of our partners, MasterCard. Thank you very much. Shamina Singh, she's the Executive Director for the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth. 2 years ago, we had a conversation about financial inclusion. 2 years on, tell me the difference between now and then.
We have a lot more people around the world included, and that's a huge deal because 2 years ago, we were talking about the fact that 2.5 billion people live in an economy that's cash driven. It may sound kind of weird because people are like, cash, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing, whatever. But the idea that you're confined to an economy that's completely corruptible and you're vulnerable when you cannot have access to digital financial services. You have no way to safely store, secure, and spend your money. 2 years in, we launched the partnership at the World Economic Forum. They created a financial inclusion steering committee. Our CEO has been co-chair of that financial inclusion steering committee along with the CEO of the IFC. At this point, with Her Majesty Queen Maxima from the Netherlands, the CEO of the World Bank, and many others, we have a commitment, a global commitment to end financial inclusion by 2020. So by 2020, our plan, the hope is that we will have more people included in the formal financial economy than ever before. But that's not where we stop. We're just getting started. So we've made a ton of progress. So it's less now about what is financial inclusion and who's involved and what does it mean, but it's much more like, what are we going to do about it? Because it does represent about $5 trillion in purchasing power.
Right.
So it's no small sum, but it makes a huge difference for the people affected and the economies that are impacted.
So tell me a little bit about how mobile has changed this whole issue for you.
So mobile obviously is ubiquitous at this point. So more people have mobile than anything else. And so if you have an ability to transact on your mobile phone, then it leaves you with a lot more opportunity and many more options to engage. So the things that you and I take for granted because we have a debit card or a credit card and a bank account, we use those. That's what we're used to. But if you're living in a country on the continent of Africa, or maybe you're living in India, then you're not bound by legacy commitments and financial institutions that may not make sense for you. And so the mobile phone in that instance is something that's part of their lives already. So you start with where they are and they become your best customers. But I want to just say one more thing about the mobile thing, because I think the phenomenon is amazing. But I also want to say that unless we are able to have more people that are able to transact, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's like you got to be able to save and use your money digitally. So if you only have one side, most people are focused on creating bank accounts on their mobile phone and saying, okay, I can send you $1. What they're not doing is figuring out the other side of the equation is if you're selling something, how easy it is for you to transact as a merchant. So you have to have people buying and selling. That's the contract. So I think with mobile, the place we're working on right now is making sure that you have equipment, you have the technology to actually accept those payments.
How far, in terms of the path towards getting rid of financial inclusion, what are the next things that you think need to happen?
I think that's a great question. So here's the deal. That's why we're called the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth, because financial inclusion is an important first step, but it's not the last step. It's the beginning. The ultimate goal is to create a world where we have inclusive growth happening. What's inclusive growth? It's economies that are expanding where more people get access to the resources of that economy. I mean, if you think about it in a very simple way, there are networks that control the modern economy. So whether the network is access to education, a network, whether it's access to technology, are you connected? Whether it's access to financial services, do you have an account? Can you transact? These are all networks that generate the modern economy. And so the idea of inclusive growth is, are we creating a world where more people are connected to those networks, and thereby the benefits of an expanding economy don't go like this, but they go like this. And so that's what we're working on next, is creating an inclusive growth globe.
Thank you very much, Shamina, for stopping by the Hub Culture Pavilion here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.